Restaurant season is presented to you by Happy Chef, the reservation system you own. Create a free unlimited account on happychef.cloud.
Every exceptional restaurant has a story, but behind the dining room, the dishes and the reviews are hundreds of decisions about money, people, design, ambition, and survival. Restaurant season tells those stories, one chapter at a time. This season, opening a restaurant. Let's begin.
Episode 6, 3 weeks late. The printer had stopped, but nobody in the kitchen moved. For the last 20 minutes of the friends and family service, tickets had arrived faster than the pass could clear them. Luca had told Sophia to stop seating, Sophia had looked at Emma, and outside the restaurant, guests were still waiting to come in. The dining room had remained calm. That was almost the worst part. From the tables, Luna had looked close to ready. Behind the door, it had not. The next morning, Emma arrived before 7. Luca was already there. He had printed the previous night's tickets and spread them across one of the prep tables in order, marking the points where the kitchen had fallen behind. The first delay had not been dramatic. 4 minutes on one table, then 6 on another. Then 2 large tables had reached the same stage together, the garnish station had backed up, 1 pan had been needed for 3 different dishes, and a plate waiting for sauce had blocked the space needed for the plate behind it. Nothing had broken, everything had simply become slower at the same time. Emma stood beside Luca and read the tickets. He said the seating had been too aggressive. Emma said the kitchen had been too slow. Luca looked at her. Neither statement was entirely wrong. By 8, Sophia arrived with the front-of-house notes. Guests had waited too long for menus at 2 tables. 1 wine order had been missed, and the service station near the bar had become crowded every time 2 servers needed it together. Emma asked how many of those problems would disappear with practice. Sophia said some of them. Emma asked which ones. Sophia looked at the page, then said she did not know yet. That answer stayed with Emma longer than she wanted it to. The restaurant was supposed to open in 11 days. The original date had already moved once, then again. The contractor still had small jobs outstanding. 2 deliveries had not arrived. 1 refrigeration unit was making a noise Luca did not trust, and the staff had lost training days to construction. Another delay would buy them time. It would also cost them time. Rent had started, payroll had started, supplier accounts were opening, deposits were gone, and reservations were already sitting in the book. Every day before opening now had a price. Emma called Mireille just after 9 and asked for the latest cash position. Mireille sent it while they were still on the phone. Emma opened the file on the bar. There was a number near the bottom that she recognized immediately. It was the reserve Mireille had told her not to touch. The distance between the current balance and that number was much smaller than Emma remembered. She asked how much another 2-week delay would cost. Mireille said it depended on what they delayed with it. Emma asked for the simple answer. Mireille gave her one. Payroll, rent, utilities, professional fees, continued contractor costs, and no restaurant sales. Emma looked through the glass toward the kitchen. Luca was moving a table 20 centimeters to give the garnish station more space. 2 weeks would help. 2 weeks would also make the number on Mireille's sheet smaller. Emma thanked her and hung up. By 10, the restaurant was in motion. Emma rewrote the seating plan for the next rehearsal, reducing the number of arrivals in the first 45 minutes. She changed the order in which the front-of-house team reset between courses and moved 1 service tray from the bar to the station near the entrance. She asked Annika whether a shelf could be added beside the kitchen door without narrowing the route. She called the refrigeration company, the lemon supplier, then the contractor. Then she went into the kitchen and asked Luca if 1 component of the fish dish could be moved earlier in prep. Luca said yes, technically. Emma heard the word yes. He had meant the word technically. By lunch, she had answered questions from 6 members of staff. 1 server asked where extra glassware should be kept. A commis asked whether staff meal would be served before or after the afternoon briefing. Someone wanted approval to change the label format in dry storage. Someone else needed a decision on a guest allergy note. 2 of those questions belonged to Sophia. 1 belonged to Luca. Emma answered all of them anyway. The answers were good. That was the problem. By the end of the day, several things worked better because Emma had touched them. The service route was clearer. The refrigeration engineer was booked. The next rehearsal had a slower arrival pattern, and the team had answers. Emma went home after midnight with the feeling that the restaurant had moved forward. Sophia went home with a different feeling. The following afternoon, the team ran the same section of service again. This time, the first 30 minutes were clean. The kitchen kept pace, and wine arrived when it should. The narrow station beside the bar was still awkward, but no one collided. Emma stood near the pass, listening. For a while, there was nothing for her to fix. Then a server came directly to her and asked whether table 14 could delay their next course. Emma answered without thinking. Across the room, Sophia had already started walking toward the same server. She stopped. The server did not notice. Emma did. Later, she asked Sophia whether something was wrong. Sophia said no. She was just trying to understand who the team should come to during service. Emma said they should come to Sophia. Sophia nodded, then asked what they should do when Emma was standing closer. Emma smiled because the question sounded practical. She said they should still go to Sophia. That evening, another server came directly to Emma with a reservation issue. Emma solved that too. The next 3 days became a sequence of corrections. A supplier delivery arrived late, so Emma reorganized prep. A staff member called in sick, so Emma moved the training schedule. The contractor needed access during a service rehearsal, so Emma shifted the rehearsal. A table setting looked too crowded, so Emma removed one item and changed the reset. Luca altered the garnish on one dish, Sophia simplified one sequence in service, and Annika fixed the shelf beside the kitchen door. The restaurant improved. It really did. The next rehearsal finished only 12 minutes behind the planned schedule. The one after that finished 6 minutes behind. Guests who had been invited to test the room said the service felt calm. One of them told Emma the restaurant seemed as if it had been open for months. Emma carried that sentence for the rest of the night. It sounded like proof. 4 days before opening, Mireille came to the restaurant, not for dinner. She came with the updated cash forecast. Emma sat with her at the bar while the team trained around them. Mireille pointed to the line representing available cash after the first payroll run, then to the supplier payments due the following week, then to the reserve. Emma asked whether they could still open on the planned date. Mireille said yes. Emma asked whether they could afford not to. Mireille took a moment, then said that depended on what Emma meant by afford. The answer irritated Emma because it was accurate. Opening now carried operational risk. Waiting carried financial risk. There was no version of the decision in which risk disappeared. Emma closed the spreadsheet. They would open. The announcement changed the restaurant. Until then, opening night had been a date on a calendar that everyone understood could still move. Now it became fixed. The team became sharper. The kitchen started earlier. Sophia printed final station assignments. Luca rewrote the prep list. Emma checked everything, then checked it again. On the afternoon before opening, Sophia found her adjusting the position of the host stand by less than 10 centimeters. She asked whether it mattered. Emma said yes. Sophia looked at the host stand, then at Emma, and helped her move it. Opening night began quietly. At 5:30, the dining room was empty. The candles were lit, the glasses were polished, and the kitchen was already hot. At 6:15, Emma stood at the front door and looked back through the room. For years, she had imagined this exact moment. She had imagined feeling ready. She did not. At 6:28, the first guest arrived. The host opened the door, and Luna began. For the first hour, Emma barely moved from the center of the room. She watched tables, the pass, Sophia, and the gaps between people. The restaurant held. A wine glass was replaced before a guest noticed the chip. A table asked to slow down, and Sophia adjusted the kitchen without involving Emma. One dish was sent back because it was colder than Luca wanted. The replacement arrived quickly. At 8:15, every table was occupied, the printer was running, and the pass was full. But the tickets moved. Not perfectly. Enough. At one point, Emma saw the same server who had come directly to her during rehearsal walking toward her with a question. Halfway across the room, the server changed direction and went to Sophia instead. Emma noticed. Sophia did not look at her. The service continued. Near 10, something changed in the room. The nervousness disappeared. Guests leaned back in their chairs. The sound level softened. A couple at table 7 ordered another bottle of wine, and someone at the bar laughed. For the first time, Luna did not feel like a project preparing to become a restaurant. It felt like a restaurant. After the last guests left, nobody wanted to go home. Luca opened a bottle in the kitchen, and someone found glasses. The team stood between the dining room and the pass, exhausted and slightly disbelieving. They had done it. Emma looked around at them. She had spent years imagining what opening her own restaurant would feel like. The feeling was not triumph. It was relief, pride, exhaustion, and the strange realization that tomorrow the restaurant would still be there. Eventually, the team left. Emma stayed. The dining room was quiet again, but not empty in the same way it had been before. There were marks on the floor where chairs had moved. A forgotten napkin sat beneath table 12, and 2 glasses were still on the bar. Evidence. Luna had survived its first real service. Emma picked up the napkin. Sophia came back into the room carrying a sheet of paper. Emma asked if something was wrong. Sophia said no. She handed her the next day's reservation sheet, fully booked. Again? Emma looked at it and smiled. Sophia did not.